Up at the back, he says, when that kid comes by, invite him into the kitchen. And Davy was a prime master at bribing. He bribed more homesick kids with a variety of pies, and then said, by the way, if you when you win your award, bring it to me, because I'd like to see it, and you'll get another piece of pie. I think, well, at least when I was in camp, I can't remember very many kids who stayed homesick for very long, because they were always welcome in the kitchen. Davy was that kind of a guy. Well, I could tell you more about Davy, but I think I'll let it go at that. When I was a camp director, there's an award out. I'm offering an award. When I was a camp director, I became known as Ogre Owen. Now, I've been trying to figure out, ever since I left Camp Stevens, how I got that name. But you can tell. Somebody said I was like Santa Claus. Other people said it was Burl Ives. And I'm a sweet, lovable guy. How can I possibly be called Ogre Owen? Maybe it's because whenever I used to come up in front of the camp, or very often when I came up in front from the camp, I came up with 2 bodyguards. You see, I just found out a week ago when I went to the doctor that I'm 5 foot 5 inches, and I didn't realize I was so short. That's the first time I really knew how tall I was. And these guys were at least 6 feet. They may have been taller than 6 feet. And they were twins, and they were blonde twins, John and Jim Wright. Now, John Wright couldn't get here, but Jim Wright could get here. And I remember on occasion, just to stage things, you know how you stage things, I would walk up and I'd have my 2 bodyguards. Then I could say anything I wanted to. And I remember Jim and John, and I was very, very pleased to see Jim at camp today, and maybe he'll pass my regards along to John. Well, that couldn't be the reason. Now, I think we had some counselors who were a little bit unruly, and I put 2 of them on the boat with their baggage to send them to home. And so were a number of canoes. We couldn't figure out what ever happened. So Ken and I, being detectives, we got into a canoe, and we paddled, I don't even know how, it seemed miles, all the way out to a camp called MLA. What was it, the Mental Literary Society? Yeah. So it was a family camp.
One of the neat things about camp, it is special for you, for your own time. Some of the people I remember, and I want to use this as people because I see some of them in the room and I remember some things about them, and particularly a lot of new things have come to mind because a character by the name of Bob Wetlaufer turned up last night at the event. And Bob's mind is like a rolling videotape. He knows days, hours, times, years, people who were involved, who did what. Like the day they took Reg Nosworthy's rabbit and flung it down the length of the dining room floor, but they just waxed it and watched the rabbit go and watched Nosworthy go out of his mind. We were sadistic in our own way as well. I particularly remember people like Bob Cook, Cookie. Bob's brother George had been boatman in the 50s, and his little brother took over in the 60s. Bob was married to motors. Bob's favorite activity in a night off was to go into Kenora, go up to the Catholic Church, sit on the church and listen to the semi-trailers drive through Kenora.
Started here. I take great pride in the fact that I started to camp here in somewhere, I think, about 1920. At that time, I was still a glint in my father's eye when he directed Camp Stevens at that time. And when, as a young camp director, he had need of a cook, and he hired a fellow by the name of Alfred David. And for, consequently, a large number of years, Davy was the camp cook. And I recall, of course, when I came then for my first year camp, and Davy, of course, had a rather warm place in his heart, I guess, for my dad, so that he was most interested to meet my father's son. And I don't know whether I ever lived up to what he would have expected in my father's son, but I had the opportunity, as Alec did at one time, to work for Davy in the kitchen. I took it deliberately in a family camp one year, and the joy I found about Davy was that Davy sort of had a patter going all the time in the kitchen. He would natter, and if you were working hard or not hard enough, he would tell you so in no uncertain terms. The fun about Davy was that until you sort of started to get back to giving him what he gave you, then you were going to have a pretty rough time. It took me, I think, about a full week to learn that. And then I found I could trade insults with Davey and get along great. As I looked around the room tonight, I was kind of thrilled too about the young people, and that's the problem with us all. Eh? We look, and some of us are getting awfully bald now, and I keep thinking of myself as a young man. But way to go, Robinson! Yeah, you still got me beat. I think you had me beat by the time you're 18. Anyway. Anyways, as I look around and I see old guys now like Hammy then or Punch, and these were young kids, but pretty special young people in those days. We had little campers like Bert and Tuck, and a large number of people in here who are now making their own contribution in adult life. And I think perhaps because they have been a part of the Camp Stevens team, spirit, fellowship,